I want to do this as a basically a reminder video, but kind of a supplemental to add a little bit of understanding, a little further understanding to this. Now, it's important that the Bible used very specific words. So what we're seeing with our cell phones, and again, I'm doing this because I just watched Perry Stone just uploaded a video and he used all of my stuff. And this is the problem that I have with these false prophets. If they're not intentionally using my prophecies and what I've shared, they're intentionally twisting it and they get it wrong. This is why initially I told it, gave warning. Don't try to disseminate this information on your own because it's in depth. I mean, there's a lot to it. So, and again, this is why I try to point out, Perry Stone, his video used everything that I've taught, but he butchered a lot of it. I mean, he just absolutely got so much wrong. So I want to remind everybody what I did in a video from, I don't know, it's been close to 2 years ago about your phones, how your phones are involved in this, and how what it's spoken about in the Bible about the image. This specific word was used because it would come to this time in our history where we would have the I am age, which is the instant memory that you find in your phones and computer, which is now basically all in our phones. We use our phones in our daily lives. There's so many people that if they don't have their phones, they literally would not know how to conduct themselves. They wouldn't know how to go throughout their day. They're just, again, this is that image. The phone, the instant memory age, which is what's in your phone. And then when you hear the Bible speaking about basically a cashless society, you would not be able to buy or sell. I want to remind you of this. Now, when we talk about cash, this kind of goes back to what I've taught about why there are the two words. There are the profit. There is a profit, which is in like a profit margin, and then you have a prophet, like a prophet from God. This is why he created these two words specifically, so you could identify between the two. So you have cash, which is spelled CASH, but you also have in this technological age, when you use, and you can look in your phone and see this, when you use your phone, this instant memory, like as in the image, IMH, is always stored in your cache. This is important, very important. So you can see how you have these two words also that are in their sounding are exactly the same. You have cash as in CASH that you use, that you have used to this point, but now you have what's in your phone, which is known as also cache, the CACHE. And just as a further, and I put this in my previous video to just reaffirm everything I've stated, it talks about how the temple would be measured in a cubit, CUBIT. All of this stuff is measured in your phones and your computer and technology that we have is measured with a cubit. It's spelled and sound exactly the same. So do you see how the enemy uses these same things? And that's spoken of. Don't be how the enemy would use things against us, our own technology used against us, our own devices, how Satan would use. Don't be fooled by his devices. So you see all of this unfolding, how it's all came to this specific place in history, in time, in the times that we're living in. And again, all of this computer, every bit, as I've shown in that previous video, all of this came to be from the original computer language that was called Dracon. All of this has been has established from the computer language called Dracon, even Java, the most common computer language now, is derived and is just a offset of Dracon, which means dragon. And we're warned about the dragon throughout the Bible. So see, you have your cache, you have your image, and you have a CUBIT. It's all associated to the Dracon, the dragon, which was the very first computer language. And as I showed in that other video, that was the first computer language that was used in the very first space shuttle rocket launch from Russia. But it's also used in America. It's used in all the computers. All of our computer language derived from Dracon, the dragon. So there you have it, CUBIT. And again, I have to do this because I watch these ones like Perry Stone just absolutely butcher. Even though he tries to get it right, he butchers everything that I teach. Because again, this was never his prophecy to give. This was never his great discernment to give. He's only stole it and tried to make people believe that he's been given some great discernment from God. But again, this is what happens. This is what happens when you have these ones that are just trying to enrich themselves. And again, in that video, like he does everything, he gives you a little bit of stuff and then tells you you got to buy his book or his CD to get the full knowledge, his full amazing discernment given to him by God, when he's just a thief. That's all he is. And again, our laws, we have copyright laws today. And I want to remind you that the first 5 books of the Bible were known as the Law and the Prophets. And what so many people don't realize, that our entire legal system that we use today is based on those first 5 books. Our legal system was derived from and grew from the Law and the Prophets, the first 5 books. That's why, so you have copyright laws that exist today. Well, part of that comes from what I've taught about in Jeremiah 23, verse 30. God is against the prophets that steal prophecy from another. And what it talks about, do not covet, in many other places in Bible. That's just one example. That's why, this is where our copyright laws come from. This is why they have to pay dearly if they continue to steal and claim to be prophets, claim to be given this ancient discernment when they only steal it from me. So y'all be sure to be aware. I wanted to remind you of all this because once again, I'm witnessing these false prophets take what I share and just absolutely butcher it, which leaves the people in a state of confusion. This is why I give this stuff freely, so that nobody is confused. But again, there's so many followers of these false prophets, they don't realize that their false prophets are only stealing this information from me, but in the process of it, they're either twisting it or butchering it, which again doesn't give the people what they need so that they have a full understanding of what's actually happening. So you have the CUBIT, which is, that derives back to how we can touch our phones and screens and do all of that. You have the cache, which is also integrated into your instant memory, your image, the image of the beast that people worship in their cell phones. So y'all be sure to stay in the Word. God bless.